On December 24, 1999, the 176 passengers and crew on Indian Airlines Flight IC814 experienced just that, an ordinary flight from Kathmandu to Delhi that turned into a harrowing, life-or-death struggle. About 40 minutes after takeoff, 5 men armed with knives, guns, and grenades burst into the cockpit. The hijackers were shouting, waving weapons, and demanding to be heard. They were members of Harkat al-Mujahideen, a militant group with a deadly agenda. Within moments, the pilots were overpowered, and the plane, instead of heading to Delhi, was now under their command. Where did they want to go? Lahore, Pakistan. But the nightmare didn't end there. Pakistan initially denied them permission to land, and as the aircraft circled in the sky, fuel running dangerously low, tensions were at a breaking point. In a dramatic twist, Pakistan finally relented, allowing the plane to land and refuel. But this was just the beginning of a high-stakes game. The hijackers now directed the aircraft to Dubai, a place where negotiations could begin on their terms. As they landed, the tension in the cabin was suffocating. To show they meant business, they released 27 passengers, a token gesture to buy time and bolster their demands. The release of 35 militants from Indian jails, and a whopping $200 million in cash. India was thrown into chaos. How do you negotiate with people who seem to hold all the cards? The government faced an impossible choice. Either meet the hijackers' demands, risking national security, or refuse and risk the lives of 176 innocent people. The clock was ticking, and the whole world was watching. Meanwhile, the hijackers ordered the plane to fly to Kandahar, Afghanistan, then under Taliban rule. This wasn't just a change in scenery, it was a strategic move. With the Taliban now in play, things got even murkier. Would they support the hijackers, or would they intervene? The hijackers turned up the heat. They narrowed their demands to the release of 3 high-profile militants, Masood Azhar, Ahmed Omar Saeed Sheikh, and Mushtaq Ahmed Zagar. Each of these names was notorious in their own right, with deep connections to global terrorism. For India, releasing these men would have far-reaching consequences. But refusing could mean tragedy. Days passed. Negotiations were grueling, and tension filled every moment. Inside the aircraft, fear turned to despair. Then, a chilling turn of events, the hijackers murdered one passenger, Rupin Katul, to show they weren't bluffing. This tragic death escalated the pressure to unbearable levels. Finally, on the 7th day, after endless talks and diplomatic wrangling, the Indian government made a heart-wrenching decision. They would meet the hijackers' demands, release the 3 militants in exchange for the safe return of the passengers. On December 31, 1999, the hostages were released. They came back home, but not without scars, both emotional and political. But this wasn't the end. It was a new beginning, a warning shot for the years to come. The 3 militants, now free, went on to orchestrate more devastating attacks. Masood Azhar, in particular, would found Jaish-e-Mohammed, a group that would become infamous for attacks like the one on the Indian Parliament in 2001. The hijacking of IC814 was more than a crisis, it was a turning point. It forced the world to rethink security, diplomacy, and the cost of negotiation with terror. It was a lesson in how quickly an ordinary day can become extraordinary, a grim reminder that even in the skies, danger can strike without warning. And so, the story of Flight IC814 remains etched in history, a dark chapter that continues to resonate. It's a story of courage and fear, of desperation and decision, and of the delicate balance between peace and peril.